Hi, I'm Angela Coulter of Ascended World, bringing you element 9 of our worthiness course that is part of the Adventures in Wonderland program. And element 9 is about visibility. Now, we've talked about, being appreciated and utilized and recognized. And more we're talking about as an authentic self, our authentic self and what we truly are, and not just a role that we hide behind or a role that we've been taught to hide behind, or that a role that we've been taught values us and then we allow ourselves to disempower ourselves to um, filling that role, even if it's not what helps us tick, from our heart, from our core. And so this is a shift into being able to be seen as the authentic you. We have history, multiple lifetimes, eons of, okay, well, being burned at the stake is being burned at the stake as witches, being crucified or exiled or whatever for being the authentic. And when I say authentic, right, it's going to be for everybody, this part, the authentic, divine, infinitely powerful beings that we are. So when we allow that to come out and be visible, right? Because we say we're not hiding anything, but there are always things that we feel like we have to hide because we're ashamed, we're afraid. Oh, that must be true, because there's that yawn, that we're afraid that we're going to be judged, or worse, hurt, killed, because of who we truly are. When we, then we hold back a part of ourselves, and this is really leading up to, in a couple of days, we'll have, worthiness to be my authentic self. That's in a couple of days. We're leading up to that with all these pieces and parts, because it's important for us to get to the worthiness of these pieces and parts to get to that. I'm worthy to be my authentic self, to stand in my authentic self, because the visibility thing has to do with what others see of our authentic self. And, if we still have these fears of, well, I'm too powerful, I'm too weird, I'll be considered weird, I'll be considered, a Satan worshiper, or a sorcerer, or I don't know, whatever. There's like 1,000 things that we could be afraid of. I'm afraid of being considered a bad person or a scary person because I can access that amount of power. Or that I can emanate that kind of authenticity. But here's the thing: when we shrug away from our visibility and we want to be part of, because I hear a lot of times, oh no, that's okay, I'm an introvert, I would rather just be, by myself anyway, there's all these things. And I'm like, well, that's a disempowerment. When you say I'm just an introvert, that's actually just giving your power away to a definition, right? And it's like, well, then why are you an introvert? Why do you prefer to be invisible and away from other people? And then usually under that, there's a judgment. So those are other judgments, forgiveness and stuff for us to look at, which is course 4. But there's this hesitation to be visible because there is reservation on allowing people to see our authentic self, because of, like I said, it could be fear, it could be judgment of others, and being afraid of being judged, right? Again, that goes back to fear. And it is the worthiness of, who am I to be visible? Oh, excuse me, with these kind of powers, because people will judge me, right? And I'm not worthy of that. And then if you don't believe you're worthy of that, that's when all the crucifixion and all that kind of stuff happens, right? So what's important is for us to shift that in the form of saying, I'm okay to be my authentic self. And I'll tell you this, we have this perception that we have developed, that we believe that authenticity is a weakness. And I believe I have that one. Oh no, Sarah does, in a couple of days. And so we still have a couple more elements that are part of the authentic self. But when we culturally have this perception that our authenticity of being our full self is a weakness, right? We call it vulnerability. And when we call it vulnerability, we define it as a weakness, because I think that's actually I think that's actually the definition. But it's really not. Actually, our vulnerability is our strength, and I'll tell you why, right? And this has to do with visibility, because we hide ourselves because we're afraid of that, or we judge it by saying, oh, well, I don't want to seem to be weak, so I'm not going to be 100% authentic. But I'll tell you how I had this experience. I've had this experience multiple times where I was guided to be authentic in something the ego was like, oh my God, that's crazy. You'll create all these waves, you'll make this big issue, or blah, 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 or you don't want this person to know this, that you feel this way, and all this kind of stuff. And guidance was just say it. Just share that in authenticity, in a space of unconditional love and self-responsibility and in trust. See how all these things tie together. And in a way that is, like I said, self-responsible. So here's the thing. I have found that when I do that, right? So then I say, okay, this is how I feel. This is what I understand. This is what this looks like to me. I am just explaining my perception on something. And when I do that, and I do it in a place of what we consider vulnerability, then we get, there's nothing for anything. So we're afraid people are going to judge us or laugh or jeer or whatever. But when we're authentic and we say, well, this is how I feel, this is how it is, I don't want anything from it, I'm not, expecting anything from this, like the statement, I am just stating this is the way it is for me. There's really nothing you can take away. Like nobody can take that away from you. And it's just like, okay. And I have found that when you hold that energy of that truth, then people do see you as who you are. And then they just really sort of back off and they're like, oh, okay. And that's, again, it might seem like it goes off into the authenticity thing, which it does, but the visibility part is really important because we hide so many parts of ourselves because of those fears of judgment and all that kind of stuff. So really more important is to get comfortable in that place of, I am really worthy to allow all parts of me to be visible. I am worthy of being, and visibility in a way is a little tied to vulnerability. The belief that we're vulnerable by being visible, because then we're afraid, people are going to shoot arrows at us or burn us at the stake. But the thing is, if we don't hide anything, then there's nothing that you can take away. If I don't hide anything and I say, this is how it is, this is where I am, and I have no expectations from that, there's nothing you can take away from me. Usually it's because we have hidden expectations of like something that has to do with, it's completely outside of us with somebody else that, has nothing to do within our control, right? So the key is to recognize that we are worthy to remember how to and allow ourselves to be 100% visible in our authenticity. And when we allow ourselves that, then it's rock solid. There's nothing, because then you have this, there's no fear. And then it doesn't matter, like if you think you're an extrovert or introvert or whatever, it doesn't matter because there's no like definition there. It's just, I am visible. I am me. And either you see me or not, and that's fine. And that tends to make you more visible. So our intention today is I'm worthy to remember how to and allow myself to be seen and recognized. Well, again, recognized, right? Because we did that a couple of days ago. I'm worthy to remember how to and allow myself to be seen and recognized as to who and what I truly am, and to be prominent in that authenticity. That I can be seen, understood, perceived as that divine, infinitely powerful being that I am. And that's okay. And I'm comfortable with that in all ways because I'm worthy of it. I'm worthy to be seen as who I really am and what I really am over all the roles that you expect me to be in, because then that part of me doesn't change, because who I really am is this divine, infinitely powerful being. So, all right, so let's close our eyes, take a deep breath. And we step out of separation into oneness in the vibration where all of that is our truth that we manifest. from that vibration. We experience, we create from that vibration always. And everything not of that vibration just falls away. All right. It was a little bumpy in the beginning, but it felt really nice once we got there. There's some hesitation. But it felt like there were a lot of other things that connect into this. Being, well recognized and visible are very similar, but different. And it was almost like I saw this big interconnected sort of matrix that was all connected. And it was like these parts all started to light up in the middle, just really got bright. And then that became sort of that whole authentic self. It was very cool. Very cool. So our affirmation for the day: I'm worthy to be seen as who I truly am and recognized prominently. So stay with that for the day, do your meditation, come back and do this as many times as you want, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.